Hey guys, this is Chrasilis, and today I'm going to be starting a new series. It's going to be a class breakdown series. I haven't exactly thought of an appropriate title yet, so we're just going to go with class breakdown for now. This is going to be an episode all about the Apprentice, and I'm going to be really the only thing there is to cover specifically about the Apprentice is the towers and the hero abilities. So if you're a new player, this is probably going to help you more, but maybe you're an experienced player looking for a little bit more information about what each tower does. Maybe you haven't really explored all of your options yet or whatever. This video is for you guys. So to start off with, let's go straight to summon defenses. Now the tower you're going to start with at level 1 that everybody knows is the Magic Missile Tower. This is going to take 3 defense units to use, but it's a non-elemental tower with, as far as I know, the fastest firing rate in the game out of any non-AoE tower. And this is, it doesn't really turn around or anything like that, but it has a very big range. As you can see by the little arrows to the left and to the right at the bottom of the tower, when I go to place it, it has a very wide range. At the beginning of the game, the range is not very far. It from there, it would only go to I guess here or something. But it scales very well with range and will eventually fire extremely far. I would go as far to say as if you stack enough range, you could probably shoot across the map. It's pretty ridiculous. And this is really the end goal with high tower stats and ultimate gear and everything. This is what you're looking at. It's going to be the cornerstone of most builds, and it's pretty important. So moving on away from that, I believe at level 3 you unlock the Magic Blockade Tower, and this is just a simple barricade, but there's a twist. When enemies come up to attack it, instead of just wailing away at it and maybe just taking damage like Squire Towers or whatever, it'll appear that nothing happens to them, but the big thing here is that it removes enemy elemental resistances, which goes well with the next tower I'm going to show you guys. But before we get into that, I need to point out that these are not something that you're going to be relying on higher difficulties. While they only take 1 defense unit to bring out, they are extremely weak and enemies will rip through them very quickly on higher difficulties, and especially on the harder levels or higher waves of survival mode. So to go with that, we have the Fireball Tower. Now this tower takes 5 defense units. It is an AoE tower. It fires relatively slow, but the bullet travel speed seems to be slightly faster. And it's also a cornerstone of the Apprentice build. Typically, my general rule of thumb is you want 1 of those for every 2 magic missile towers at any major choke point. Now, there's no specific formula. It's not like that's mandatory, but that's just how I play, and it seems to work out well for me. So, it's a very useful tower. As you can see, the damage is overall much higher, and, the splash damage makes it even more so. And it's going to be a very important tower at key choke points, because enemies group together and clump up quite a bit. For the next tower, we have the Lightning Tower. This is a special AoB tower that works kind of like Monk Rs for those of you that are familiar with it, and for those of you that aren't, it basically puts a big radius around it in which it attacks things. Enemies that get within this range get shocked. You see that laser? That's exactly what enemies experience. Now there's a cap to how many enemies it can hit at one time. As you can see here, right now the max amount of targets it can chain is 71. The range increases with your tower range stat, with boosts and all kinds of stuff like that. The DPS on these things is not fantastic, but it helps a lot to put it in very high traffic areas or to guard a crystal or something along those lines. I usually use about 1 per crystal per map. That's about the proper equation for that. Now this last tower is extremely situational. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot before I move on. The Lightning Tower takes 7 defense units, so it's pretty hefty. That's important. But yes, the Devilish Striker Tower, it fires extremely slow, but the bullets move faster than any other tower. It is still non-elemental damage, It has the highest range, and the really big thing here, as you can see on the description, is that it travels through walls. That is the biggest thing. Like you can see here, if I put this here, it's going to fire right through that wall. And that's really the important thing here. These aren't useful in most situations, but there are a few situations in which these can provide a huge benefit. The overall DPS per target for all of these towers is roughly the same, but when you factor in AoE damage and all those other things, it can be pretty amazing what you can do with this class. And that's it for the towers. But for the hero abilities, we only have two, as with any class. Mana Bomb is pretty straightforward. You use mana and everything in a huge radius around you takes a huge burst of damage. Now, Overcharge, on the other hand, is it's a tick down thing. Each tick you have it turned on, it will take more and more mana, but while you have it on, and basically your hero's casting time is very short. Instead of taking whatever it may be, like 3 or 4 seconds to summon a tower, it's pretty much instant. So let me, like you can see now, like that's instant already, so I can't really give you a good example. But that's what it does. It reduces your casting time to a ridiculous extent. As far as hero stats go, for this character, a DPS build is plausible, but it's not ideal. For DPS, you're probably just going to want to use a weapon with decent tower stats and just upgrade the damage, and that should suffice. But aside from that, you're going to want to just balance out your tower stats to an extent. The first 120 points, they are the most important. So that's what I recommend, and that's what I did. The first 20 points in any stat mean the most, so I kind of just dropped off 25 into my hero health. But I put 120 at level 100 into each of these 3 stats, and the rest, which is 600, into my tower attack. And that works out pretty well for me. I can solo any map on Insane completely naked, and quite a few on Nightmare naked. So it's a pretty good build as far as I'm concerned. And that's really all there is to it. You do need all of these stats, especially for the Apprentice, because they all impact the towers so greatly. Out of all the classes, the overall balance in which the stats affect the towers is the highest, as far as I can see. All other classes receive far higher diminishing returns. And that's really all there is to the basics of the Apprentice. And I hope this video has helped somebody out there. If you like this, don't be afraid to give it a like. It helps out more than you could possibly imagine. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. I try to keep uploading content daily, but there may be periods of time here and there where I don't because of life or whatever. If you have any suggestions for me, if you would like to see a specific thing done with any class, I can try it and see how it goes. Just let me know in the comments below, guys, or even send me a message. I'm not a shy person. I will reply to everybody if I can. I mean, right now my channel's pretty small, and I completely manage it all by myself. There's nobody else helping me. I do all my own editing and all that stuff, so it's just me. And I will reply to you if you request some kind of response or say anything that merits a response. So just don't be afraid, guys. I'd like to interact with any fans that I may have. So again, thank you for watching. Have a great day.